guest today. Her name is Laura Hight. She was born and raised in Kelso, graduated from Kelso High School, and she has a house in Longview. She has 3 kids, 2 cats, and a German Shepherd. And she's worked 20 years in the service and hospitality industry and currently works at the Mediation Center Service, Cowlitz and Lewis counties. So it's my pleasure to introduce our guest.
Thank you very much. Oh, okay, your mic is working. I really appreciate the invitation by Cindy to be here. I have never had the pleasure of being at a Lions meeting, and this is one of the most welcoming, genuine groups I have ever been a part of. So thank you very much. I just want to say it really makes a positive impression coming in as a first-time guest. There's a really good feeling in here. My name is Laura Hight. Born and raised in Kelso, Washington. I live in Longview now. I'm a Highlander. If there's any Highlanders in here. There you go. You got a speed cut. I have 3 kids. Teenagers now. I know. Sorry, I hear that a lot. My apologies to you. Now I know what my mother said when she said it. Right down the street. So
I thought it was meditation.
People think it's a meditation office. Candles, like that. Mediation. I'll tell you a little bit about how I got started in mediation and why I am so passionate about it. The introduction said I have experience in the workforce of restaurant management and retail management. I have no experience in counseling. I have no experience in mediation. I did not go to school for it. I didn't even know what it was until about 1.5 years ago. And a friend of mine who's a paralegal, she's been in the family law industry for years and years, she said, you should take this mediation class. It's a 40-hour class. They spread it out over 2 weeks, and they teach you some really skills. And I said, well, that sounds great. I'm sure I could apply in the workforce or something like that. Mediation to me was just solving problems, and pretty much everywhere you go, there are plenty of those around. And so I said, sure, sign me up. I'll take this class. And when I walked into the first class, it was up in Centralia, I felt completely underqualified to be there. There were paralegals, there were counselors, nonprofits, and I walked in basically on a whim, thinking I'm in way over my head here. I don't know what I'm doing. And after the first hour or so of the class, I realized that my whole life I had some of the problem resolution that by the end of that 40-hour class, got to meet some really great people. I got to learn some skills, a couple of things I'm going to share with you today. And by the end of that 40-hour class, I was so passionate about what mediation is and what a mediator can do that I quit my job and applied for the open position they had at the Mediation Center, and I've been there ever since. So what is it about mediation that made me make such a drastic change with no experience in it whatsoever? And I think the part about it that I love is that your life experience is your qualification to become a mediator. So before I get started into what all of that is and why I love it so much, I want to give you an overview as to what a mediator does. So just so I know who I'm speaking to in the crowd, how many of you are attorneys or judges?
That was last week.
Good. Excellent, I like this crowd. All right, so how many of you, let's try this, how many of you have ever been in a conflict with another person, with a show of hands? Anybody? Okay, all right. So the things the things that I'm going to be sharing apply to you. If you have been in conflict or have been around conflict, mediation is got something for you. So, the junior varsity judge team, and that's not the way that it is. We are impartial and professional and qualified, and we are passionate about solving your problems. So I want to talk to you a little. What do you think is a conflict that most people run into that could be mediated?
Conflict of interest.
Yes, so, yes, workplace, definitely. We do both, yeah. All right, what's another situation where there is conflict that you think mediation could possibly be helpful? Neighbor disputes, that happens so much. Barking dogs, clucking chickens, where the property line is, who's sharing the driveway, all those types of things. It's yours. Children, yes. The one that I'm about. I have my own teenagers, I realize how underqualified to deal with their own problems because I'm right in the middle of it. And so one of the things that I want to bring is the parent team mediation program. Young people have a place where they're represented by someone who's not a teacher, who's not a counselor, who's not a probation officer if they're in trouble, and who's not a parent. Someone who is an adult and is qualified, but who's there to listen to what their side of the story is without any emotional attachment and help the parent and the child see eye to eye. Because when I was a kid, at 14, 15, 16, I definitely thought I knew better than my parents. And I had a lot of things to say. And because I had no outlet to say those things, I went about it in the wrong way. And if I had had someone to stand in the gap and mediate for me between my parents, I probably would have saved us both a lot of headaches. So that is my next project in the next couple of years. I want to basically build and create and work with the schools on a parent-team mediation. On a show of hands of who has been in mediation, most people that I talk to don't really know what it is. They've heard the word, they've heard arbitration, usually when it comes to the workplace. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about what mediation looks like. If you had an issue, so I want you to pause for a moment, think about a situation in your life right now that there is conflict, whether it's with an adult sibling, aging parents. We deal a lot with that, adult children managing their aging parents' issues. We have parent-teen, we have divorce. We do a lot of parenting plans. There's a lot of strife along with parenting plans. We do neighbor-neighbor. We do consumer and buyer. So I want you to think about an area in your life, and I'm not going to ask you to share, where you know there is some conflict. Now, conflict can usually be resolved one-on-one, but it can also be very intimidating, especially if you feel like you're not at a level playing field. Let's say you have an issue with your neighbor, but your neighbor makes 3 times as much money as you do and can afford an attorney, and maybe you can't. That's not a level playing field. And the great thing that mediation does is it allows pretty much anybody for about $150 to come in and have someone professionally and legally take care of that issue. So it is a huge bonus, especially for people who are underprivileged. If you are in a low income bracket, you can get your mediation completely for free. So this is something that the community can really use no matter what level you're at. So I want you to imagine you have this issue that you want to deal with. You know that it's a little bit outside of your hands and you want a little bit of help with it. So you would call the Mediation Center, And one of our staff, there's only 6 of us, so chances are you might get me. One of our staff will answer the phone and they'll talk to you about what your situation is. So let's say it's a neighbor-neighbor dispute. Let's say you and your neighbors share a driveway and his truck is making ruts in the driveway and you think that he should pay to repair it and he doesn't think he should. Things like that really happen all the time. And so you would call the Mediation Center and say, hey, I have this neighbor and we've had some words over this driveway and I don't really want to take him to court. I want to maintain our friendship. It's important to me that we take care of this, but I also need a little bit more firepower in my corner. So we say, okay, sounds good. We take a little bit of your information. And another great thing about mediation is it is voluntary. So we will contact that other party and say, hey, John Smith here would like to have a mediation. They're inviting you to join us and discuss a problem with your driveway. Would you like to attend? Most of the time, even if people are caught off guard, they're kind of curious and they say yes. So then each party is usually responsible to pay for half of the fees. In this county, it's county-wide, not statewide. In this county, we have some of the lowest fees in the state at just $150 per person. So pretty reasonable. Most attorneys are more than that for a consultation. So what that $150 gets you is 2 2-hour sessions with 2 professionally trained mediators. So after the fees have been paid, sometimes we do them on Zoom because of lovely COVID, but now that we're back up and open again, we like to do them in person because I think you would agree that in-person communication is much better than over a screen, more successful. So then what we'll do is we'll schedule a time for the 4 parties to meet together. So you have your 2 mediators who know nothing about the case. There's no evidence presented, there's no statements written out, there's no photographs that are brought before. They go in not knowing the situation, which is part of the beauty of why it works. Because you're not there to convince the mediators to be on your side, they're on nobody's side. Then the 2 parties get to come in, and after a brief explanation of what mediation is, each party gets a chance, uninterrupted, to address the mediators and say their side of the story. So you would say, the reason I came here today is because I share a driveway with my neighbor and he has a dually and he drives up and down on those wet gravel roads and he just really causes some ruts and it's difficult for my wife's car to go up and down there because she's got a lowered Beamer. And, I really feel like we should pay to repair this shared driveway. And he gets a chance to say everything he needs. And then the other part is actually I'll fill one red. So then the mediators repeat back to make sure that they understand what you heard, and if there's anything incorrect, you can correct it right there. So that's phase 1. You basically just throw everything out on the table. After that, this is where the hard work begins between the 2 parties. This is where, in a courtroom or if you had an attorney, someone would be making a decision for you. They would say, okay, according to what I just heard and the evidence I just saw, I'm going to say party A, you need to pay party B. That's my ruling. Go. And that is not why mediation is successful. Mediation is successful because the 2 parties who initiated this are going to be the solution. So that's where the 2 parties will turn to each other and kind of ping-pong ideas back and forth. The mediators are there to help guide you, to keep things civil, make sure there's no voices being raised, profanity being used, button pushing, things like that all come out when there's, high emotion. So the mediators are guides or referees, and they're also there to help you if you get stuck. So if you have something that you want to get across to the other party, but your words are failing you, you're nervous, you're not exactly quite how to say it without sounding rude or offensive, the mediators can help you through that as well. So you have access to all of their patience, all of their calmness, all of their good ideas, but you are the one who's bringing the solution. Because ultimately, the 2 neighbors are the ones that are going to use that driveway, not the mediators. So there's no point in the mediator making a decision for you because they're not the ones that are going to have to deal with it. So the 2 parties will go back and forth over this driveway, and let's say they agree that they're going to split the cost 50-50 this time. And the neighbor's going to be buying a new truck anyway, so this won't become an issue. They can write that up, and this is where, as the 2 of you are talking, the mediator will be taking down notes when you're in agreement. You don't have to be writing anything down or taking and they'll put it into nice, concise language on the form. The two of you can look it over, you can read it, and you can say, okay, that's what I said, that's what I missed, and then both of you can sign it right there, take it down to the courthouse and file it. For $150, all of that can happen. And that's if you get it resolved in one session. A lot of times, especially when you're dealing with something like divorce or a really emotional issue or parenting plans, it takes more than that. So that could take up to 4 hours of this professionally guided time. And at the end of it, you could have a completely filled out parenting plan with who's going to stay at what house for the holidays, and all those tiny details that can add so much stress to a parent's life, especially if they have to go through an attorney who charges them $100 every time they pick up the phone. That's another stress on top of the parenting already. All of that can be resolved and taken care of through a mediator. One of the best things about mediators is that they are impartial. And that is why it's so successful. If they don't know anything about your situation coming in, they are on the side of the process of mediation. And so when things get heated or emotional on one side, it's not like having your uncle or your brother or your friend there to tell you what you want to hear. You're going to hear something from a mediator who does not have fond feelings for you. And that is sometimes what we need to hear. We need to hear what is a reasonable solution for us, not what our mother or our brother or our kids think we should do. So that is part of why mediation is so successful. When that is all wrapped up, you can take your paperwork, file it in the courthouse, and you're all taken care of. You can come back for a variety of different things. You can come back and mediate from the smallest to the largest. Really, if you can have a fight about it, we can mediate it. So that's a pretty long list. There is another form of mediation, and this is something that is timely because it's only happening right now, so I want to touch on it briefly because it may affect some of you, your neighbors, your friends, or your family. So how many of you have heard of COVID? All right, good. So COVID-19 did a number on a lot of people and their finances and their jobs and their resources. And it really hit renters and landlords very hard. I think you are probably all aware that there is a significant available housing deficit in our county, and finding a place to rent is difficult enough, and then if you don't have a job or if your hours get cut significantly, that can make it really difficult. So after COVID finally kind of faded into the background and is staying there, we have a program that's funded by Washington State, and it's called the ERPP program, or the ERP. And it's the Eviction Resolution Prevention Program. So nobody that I've talked to likes to be evicted, and also no one that I've talked to likes to not get their money from their renters. So this program is designed to do two things. It is designed to help renters stay housed, and to help landlords receive their income that they need. Because I think we can all agree that that is how a rental situation is supposed to work. And when one side of that doesn't work, the other side doesn't work. So regardless of how you feel politically, it's a good thing if people have houses. So it's a government-funded program that is run through the Mediation Center, and we are working in tandem with CAP and also with Lower Columbia Legal Aid. So the three of us work together because we can't solve everyone's problems. Sometimes they need the help of an attorney, but sometimes they need financial aid to get caught back up to zero with their landlord so they can start paying their rent again. A lot of people are getting back to work, and a lot of people want to stay where they are. But if you're looking at, I saw one the other day, it was a $27,000 rent bill. That would give anybody a heart attack to look at. And that is an almost insurmountable amount to pay. And that can be very intimidating. It would make me want to just give up if I had a bill that large and a landlord that wasn't very reasonable. But we can get people in the same room. We can look at if they're low income, what programs are available to possibly help them. We can also get them in touch with an attorney who will help them for free. And then we can sit down and mediate with their landlord. I had a case the other day, it was between us in Lewis County. It was a landlord and a tenant, and he owed a few $1,000s of back rent. It was on a trailer. and each of them had an attorney. They came into the mediation office, and you could tell that they were just ready to fight. He was anxious, he was pacing, he didn't know what to do, he was wringing his hands, he was nervous he was going to get kicked out. If this didn't go well today, he thought he was going to be kicked out of his house. And the landlord, her demeanor was aggressive, she was frustrated, not about the money, but because he wasn't communicating very well. She wanted to talk it out with him, but he was avoiding her because he's nervous about paying his bill. I think a lot of people will do that. They will avoid things that make them uncomfortable. So getting them to sit down together in the same room after 20 minutes, they were able to say what was on their mind. He realized that she didn't want to kick him out, and she realized that he wasn't trying to avoid her. He was embarrassed that he wasn't able to pay his rent. The two of them worked out almost with no help, just a little bit of hand-holding, what the repayment plan was going to be like. He left with his head held up high because he was going to be able to repay what he owed in a way that was going to be spread out over several months, so it was reasonable for him to repay it. He didn't have to sell his car and pay it all back at once. Feeling like she was going to have a renter who was going to be responsible and respectful going forward. And that is what the program is about. It's not handing out free money. It's not about that at all. The solution is okay. I want to give a little plug here at the end for our training, but I want to sum up something about mediation. So when I, like a lot of people, have been divorced, and when I was going through a divorce, I had whether it's our dispute resolution or not, there's them spread all over the state. We all have the same issue. Fight about it over and over in court. Either one of those have ever resolved any of my issues. So if people are serious about they had a 6-year plan written on paper that they both agreed to. I think that is amazing. I don't know any other also helped me realize that I was way more qualified to be a mediator when I walked in than I ever knew. And I see a lot of experience in this room. People who have been teaching, who have been in the workforce for years, people who have worked all over the county with good bosses and bad bosses. Every one of your experiences with another person has helped prepare you to resolve conflict. Conflict that you have been in, conflict that you have seen, you're always taking mental notes of what went well and what didn't go well. And as you get older, that experience helps you become a better conflict resolution solver. So what I would say is, if you feel like you don't like it when people around you are in conflict, and if you feel like you don't enjoy being in conflict, consider looking into mediation, not only as a client and a participant, but you can get a 40-hour training if you are passionate about this, and you can become a volunteer mediator. It's something that you can jump right in and do. You can help people in our community who otherwise would not have access to resources like this. It's organized, it's professional, it's confidential, and you can take people who are hopeless and confused, help them organize their thoughts, put it down on paper, and they can walk out with something that is worth so much. I'm pretty sure that's my cue to stop. So I will wrap up with this. None of us like conflict, and all of us have the experience to help resolve that conflict. So if you know someone in your life who might need a helping hand, refer them to mediation. We'll talk them through it. It'll be confidential. If they have an issue that needs a little extra help, send them our way. All of our contact information is in the back. And if you are someone who feels like you've dealt with enough conflict in your life and you might be ready to help some people deal with theirs, volunteering as a mediator is a fantastic way to do it. You can volunteer as much or as little as you like, but what you're basically doing is taking the experience that you already have, organizing a little bit, learning the things to say, and then you are ready to take what you already know and help people who are learning it on your own. If you want the information,
great programs that are going on in communities such as family problems. The Washington State program we were talking about is family problems. Are you involved with those people? And the same thing with Frank Morrison at the community house. Do you tie in with those groups?
tie in with our community house. So our DRC is part of a larger organization called Resolution Washington, and that's all of the DRCs in the whole state. So all 21 of us are part of this larger organization. And we go, at legislative session, we go up to the Capitol and we discuss different plans, different budgets, different things that we feel like would be good for our community. And so we do have a strong representation from Cowlitz County, Clark County, and Pierce. And we go up and we basically tell them what's going on. Mhm.
Not what's it?
Yeah, 70%, give or take. Yeah.
Go back to your graduate dispute.
Yes.
If someone, after they sign their agreement, says, I thought about it, I don't like this agreement, won't do it. Do we have a background check?
That is a great question, and that happens a lot. Because what may seem good in the morning doesn't seem so good in the afternoon. So there's a couple different choices. You can come back to mediation, and you can start back up and say, all right, this was 50% there, but I need to rehash this a little bit. We're going to go over it again. Or, because mediation has already been accomplished, and they have a certificate saying that they have gone through mediation, they can go directly to the court and take it to small claims court. A lot of times, judges, when they see something come through, especially in Lewis County, will send you right to mediation and say this is something that could be resolved in mediation, and they'll just push you right back to that. So I think it's good to try mediation first, because it shows the judges in the court that you have done your diligence and you've put in the effort to do it. But that doesn't happen. Any other questions? Okay. Wrap it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. I'm going to present you.
Excellent. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. I hope does this go in every mug?
Yes.
Okay.
But I can give you my card, or you can fill it out before you leave if you want. Anyway, thank you. All right, moving along here. Mark, from Sunshine.
All members and guests, we want to remember in our prayers Monday for
John.
John. I'm sorry.
All right, so announcements. I'm just going to make a few of them here from here. Steve, don't forget to sign up 13th and 14th of May, Vancouver. Cindy had one for a zone meeting
Monday.
Monday, the
So
11th
sign up for-
at 6:30, Kalama Lions. You need to sign up. I think it's $15 or something for dinner.
Right.
Okay? Then there's a visitation this Thursday at 5:45 in Castle Rock Eagles basement.
They usually have it upstairs, but they're going downstairs. And there's a sign up over there too, so please sign up for visitation if you can.
So Darlene has hers.
Okay. President Tom, Lions and guests, I have for the next 3 Tuesdays, count today, and on the third Tuesday, we will vote on the motion to accept these people as our board members for next year. So they are going to be immediate past President Tom Fulton, President Lloyd Williams, first VP Cheryl Coates, second VP Reed Skinner, third VP Greg Churchill, secretary Cindy Biggett, treasurer Dolly Harvey, membership chair Greg Firth, one-year director Louis Pickett, Leroy Porcel, Steve Patterson, two-year directors Rose Dickinson, Skip Metzger, Mark Kelch, tail twisters Isla Easter, Sharon Nolan, Pat Palmer, lion tamers Tom Hughes, Bob Piper, and we have an opening yet for a lion tamer. And then LCIF is Hal Palmer. These will be your board members for next year.
Okay, Louis, what did you just do a quick. The same thing. We're gonna go.
President Tom, fellow members and guests, right after the meeting, we're having a work party over at the shop to clean up the kettle corn stuff and the hot candy. And on your, when you sign up to do a job at the, on the sign-up thing, I would like for you to do that job and not do something else. So, anyway, whatever you sign up for, that's what you're going to do. And we have a work party for Saturday to finish up the screen stuff. To get it, there's just a little bit left over there, a few pickup loads, and we got to get our refrigerator wagon out, and then everything will be out. So it'll be Saturday at 9 o'clock. Just meet at the shop, and we'll go from there.